Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show I've been talking about for quite a while. Is Dylan Raiola going to be the starter at quarterback? Is he the answer? Are we overlooking and disrespecting maybe a little bit Daniel Kaelin just by overlooking him? Nothing intentional. What about the only guy who's ever actually started a game? Dare I say, even taken a snap in practice for Nebraska in that quarterback room right now, Heinrich Haarberg. Should we get a transfer portal quarterback? All things I'm going to talk about in this show right here, right now, today. I can't wait to do it. Let's light this candle and enjoy the journey. All right, right off the top, we got a new quarterbacks coach. I know, old news, but new quarterbacks coach and co-offensive coordinator who's also going to help design plays. Glenn Thomas has over 25 years of coaching experience in college football, nearly a decade of NFL experience alone, and 14 years specifically as a quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, passing game coordinator, or some combination of those things. Now, he's coached with Matt Rhule. Okay, he coached with him for 5 straight years as his quarterbacks and coach and/or offensive coordinator of the 7 seasons, 5 of the 7 seasons. He's did it 5 years in a row between Temple and Baylor during Rhule's coaching tenure at those schools. And if you're excited to have a new quarterbacks coach and see what Coach Thomas can do specifically with these young, talented quarterbacks, smash that like button. All right, and as always, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. Now, just real quick, I will be gone next week for spring break, but then I'll return. More content to follow. Don't miss out, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, I found this interesting. Marcus Satterfield, okay, at Temple back in the day, he was the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach until Matt Rhule hired Glenn Thomas to come coach the Owls, okay, as the quarterbacks coach. Then Satterfield, much like he moved from quarterbacks coach to tight ends coach here, still the offensive coordinator going to call plays here, but Satterfield moved from quarterbacks coach to running backs coach at Temple. Then when Satterfield was hired as the head coach at Tennessee Tech, then Glenn Thomas was promoted to offensive coordinator. Now, as I'm sure you fine folks at home know, we have 3 quarterbacks in that quarterback room right now. True freshman Dylan Raiola, true freshman Daniel Kaelin, and Heinrich Haarberg. He's the only upperclassman. Okay, he will be a junior in this group. Now, Haarberg has played in a total of 10 games. Okay, he has 8 career starts and a win-loss record of 5-3 as a starting quarterback. Now, he obviously led the Huskers in passing last year, passing yards, 967, and passing TDs with 7. But he also led Nebraska in rushing yards with 477 and rushing TDs 5 as well. I'd like a running back to lead us. Of course, we had a plethora of injuries last year in the running back room. I'd like a running back to lead us in rushing yards this year. Probably going to happen since we got mostly pocket quarterbacks now in that quarterback room outside of Haarberg, and in rushing touchdowns as well. Now, this is a dude, he plays with a ton of heart, passion. He personifies really what Husker football is all about, and I'm a big fan of him. Said it a million times on this show, probably say it a million more. Now, most of you know he's from Kearney, okay? Just a little bit more backstory on him. He was named the Hub Territory 11-Man Player of the Year in high school, and he actually started in track in high school in certain events as well. He had a dozen scholarship offers, actually over a dozen scholarship offers coming out of high school. Now, last year, when he started and he played, he only completed 49% of his passes. He had as many interceptions, 7, as he did touchdown passes. Not quite that 2-to-1 ratio that you're looking to get. 2 touchdown passes to 1 interception ratio to be considered a good quarterback, throwing-wise anyways. And you want to be completing between 60 to 70% of your passes as a major Power 5 Division I good college football quarterback. He wasn't there last year. His QBR last season was 38.8 as well. To me, it still comes back to his throwing motion. I mentioned it before. Okay, hopefully he's had a chance. Hopefully he's making strides in improving his throwing motion and mechanics and things of that nature. Okay, if you're fast, you got to be fast coming out the blocks and track, or you ain't gonna run fast. You might have a really good arm, but if you don't have proper throwing mechanics, it's really hard to throw well. Okay, there are exceptions, but not many. All right, now Haarberg, 6'5", 215 pounds. He's got a great quarterback build with speed and size. And I've seen his arm when he was young. He's got a really good arm. But I think a lack of development early on in his career really kind of hurt him. Now, he's a guy that hopefully has gotten better this offseason. He's going to be the only guy with any experience. But the next guy I'm going to talk about is Dylan Raiola, 6'3", 220 pounds. All right, Spent his senior season at Buford, Georgia. Now, he was the Polynesian High School Football Player of the Year. He was a 3-year starter in high school. Okay, 3 different places. His sophomore year was Burleson High School in Texas. His junior year was Chandler High School in Arizona. And again, last year, Buford High School in Georgia. During those 3 years, he threw for almost 8,500 pass yards, 88 passing touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions. Okay, his completion percentage average over those 3 years was 64%. Now, last year, Dylan threw for 34 touchdowns and only 1 INT. Now, he can actually run just a smidge better than people think. Trust me, he's a pocket quarterback, but he actually had 9 rushing touchdowns his sophomore season. He can, kind of sneaky with it though, run the ball just a little bit. Now, I'm sure you know, 5-star recruit. For a lot of his recruitment, he was the #1 prospect in the entire country for a long time. He is a consensus, easy for me to say, top 10 recruit in the country, #1 pocket quarterback in the country, and #2 overall recruit in the country per 24/7 Sports and Rivals. He's the highest rated commit Nebraska has ever had, kind of surpassing some really good players such as Ndamukong Suh, Baker Steinkuhler, and Marlon Lucky. Now, I'll come back to my thoughts on who should start and how that process should go here in just a minute. But let's talk about the seemingly forgotten guy already, overlooked. I never hear his name mentioned, okay? And the guy, we should put some respect on his name because he should have just as much a chance to start as anybody else. Has Daniel Kaelin been overlooked and passed up already? Now, Daniel Kaelin, 6'3", 210 pounds, an Elite 11 quarterback, if you didn't already know, much like his Elite 11 quarterback buddy, Dylan Raiola. Now, Daniel, at that Elite 11 camp, tested in the upper half of every single quarterback competition that they did. Okay, if you didn't know, he's from Elkhorn, Nebraska. Daniel plus 2 of his high school teammates. Okay, and Daniel did a lot of peer recruiting, as I'm sure you're aware of in this 2024 Nebraska recruiting class. They did something that hadn't happened since 1987 when Creighton Prep did it. Daniel and his 2 teammates, for the first time since 1987, there were 3 teammates from the same high school to sign with Nebraska when Daniel and wide receivers Davon Hall and Isaiah McMorris from Bellevue West signed with the Huskers. Now, Kaelin, one of the top recruits, okay, from the state of Nebraska, and the top-rated quarterback recruit in the state a year ago as well. This is a guy who wants to be a Husker as bad as anybody I've seen in a long time. Now, real quick, as you fine folks know, before we light this candle and get into the meat of this show, all right, this show is brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. You can check them out at dpsconstruction.net if you want great work done, if you want a great owner to work for, if you're looking for a great job, if you're looking for a concrete company to take care of something done in your place of business, your house, your residency, and or the like, etc. DPS Construction is the company to do it. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Far be it from me to repeat myself, but are we overlooking Daniel Kaelin and Heinrich Haarberg just a bit? Because everywhere I look, I see Dylan Raiola, and there's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. Okay, he's the highest ranked commit we've ever had. Okay, I think most people would say he's the favorite to start, but we have yet to have a spring practice just yet either. So this thing still should be wide open. There needs to be a legit quarterback battle. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and I'm just going to throw this out there and move on quickly. What happened the last time we announced someone the golden boy and the savior of the program? Okay, I did it too at that point in time. I'm not trying to take shots. I'm just as guilty as anybody else, but I prefer to learn as best I can from my past mistakes and not repeat them. All I'm saying is if we've already anointed Dylan Raiola the starter, do we really have any idea what to expect from a true freshman right off the bat? Okay, now I'll be honest with you. There are people who disagree with me, and I'm surprised at some of these people. One of these folks is one of the biggest celebrities to ever come out of the state of Nebraska, okay, that disagrees with me. Another individual who disagrees with me is a former Husker 3-time national champion who has flat out told me that they disagree with me. And it's not that they don't want a quarterback competition or the job to be earned, but in their mind, Dylan's the starter. He's the starter day one, and you just start spring practice rep 1 with the first team. Dylan does. In their mind, I feel a little bit different. I'm always about earning it. Anybody who's ever watched me knows my backstory. Watch this show, knows I feel that way, and I'm very, very consistent. Okay, that is my position. All right, now Connor Hayden of Corn Craze, I sponsor his show. I do. He does a great job. But Connor, we got chat, my friend. All right, he has Dylan Raiola, 18 teams in the Big Ten this upcoming football season. He already has a kid who's never taken a snap in a D1 practice ever as the 7th best quarterback in the entire Big Ten conference. Okay, now Connor in his video, go check out his video, okay, where he talks about the best quarterbacks he projects to be in the Big Ten conference next year. He says he's not being a homer. BS. Much love, my man. Much love. Okay, much love. But how is there not at least a smidge of homerism in there when you say something like that? My man, I'm calling you out, Connor, and here's what I want. Some point in the near future, before spring ball is over, you and I got to discuss this. And we might turn the cameras on, turn the mics on, and let the fine folks enjoy whatever happens. But to be clear, I'm as big a fan of Dylan Raiola as anybody. Same with Daniel, same with Haarberg, same with anybody else who wears the big red. Like, Dylan Raiola may be a top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten Conference next year. He may be. He may be a bottom 3. We don't know. He's a true freshman. He's 18 years old. That's all I'm saying, okay? We have no idea what to expect from young kids, from true freshmen, from guys who just haven't had the opportunity to play just yet. That's all I'm saying. Okay, he might be, for example, the first true freshman to ever win the Heisman Trophy. All right? Now, college football has been around for 155 years since they played the first game between Princeton and Rutgers in 1869. And no sophomore had ever won the Heisman Trophy until Tim Tebow did it in 2007. No freshman had ever won the Heisman Trophy until redshirt freshman Johnny Manziel did it in 2012. No walk-on had ever won the Heisman Trophy until Baker Mayfield did it in 2017. Maybe Dylan Raiola will be the first true freshman to ever win it. Or maybe he's not even the best quarterback in Nebraska's quarterback room right now just yet. We don't know. The starting job needs to be earned. Okay? I tell you what, I wouldn't even have Dylan Raiola take the first snap of the first rep of spring practice. I'd have Heinrich Haarberg do it. The only quarterback who has not only taken a rep in a game, but a rep in a practice previously for the Big Red. I would have him do it, and that's why I would have him do it. Okay? Then after that, you can rotate however you want to do it, and it should be a fluid quarterback battle. Maybe it changes from day to day or however the coaches want to do it. Now, I will say this. Dylan is as ready a day one true freshman quarterback starter as I think I've ever seen, for an 18-year-old kid especially. But a tone and a precedent needs to be set. Okay? The job, again, needs to be earned. Now, humbly I say this, but I'm going to share a story. Okay? And I do say this incredibly humbly. I was the first Rams rookie in franchise history to start all 16 games my rookie year. I still remember my first ever practice of OTAs in June, organized team activities. I was third string. Third string. Okay, they drafted me in the first round. Okay, third string. A couple weeks later, they trade away the previous year starting. I was a nose guard my rookie year. Previous year starting nose guard, traded him away. I was like, all right, sweet. His name was Jimmy. Okay, there was another guy in front of me than me. I'm like, all right, at least I'm going to be second string. You know, the guy who was in front of me along with Jimmy didn't even make the team that upcoming fall. Unfortunately, I was like, maybe I'll be first string. I went to practice that day. I was third string again. They had moved somebody else in front of me. Here's the deal. I knew I was going to start. They even pulled me aside and said, you better be ready. We just got rid of last year's starter. I knew I was going to start. They knew I was going to start. Everybody knew I was going to start, especially when they traded away the previous year's starter. There was a process and a precedent and a journey that needed to be gone through. And me as a rookie needed to go through that process and journey and learn it. Okay, now Dylan has started the last 3 years of high school for 3 different teams. Now, for some that might be concerning, but also here's another way of looking at it. He's used to learning a new offense each and every year, and he's used to learning it quickly. So that's probably going to help him at Nebraska. Also, there's a reason some of the best college football players in the country seem to get younger and younger and younger every year, because they're prepared better than they've ever been. Now, guys like Tommy Armstrong and Taylor Martinez started as redshirt freshmen at quarterback. Tommy Frazier, 1992, became a starter at quarterback a few games into the season, played 9 games with a 5-2 record, and no Nebraska quarterback had played as a true freshman at that point since Steve Taylor did it in 1985. Now, Frazier was the first true freshman to ever start at Nebraska. Steve played as a true freshman. All right, Adrian Martinez was the most recent quarterback to start as a true freshman at Nebraska. Adrian started 11 games that year, made school history by starting the season opener versus Colorado, becoming the first true freshman quarterback to start a season opener in Nebraska history, and just a second freshman quarterback, true or redshirt freshman, okay, to start a season opener. Martinez was just the third true freshman Husker history to start a game at quarterback during Tommy Frazier and Cody Green, who's had 2 starts in 2009. My point is, you just never know what you're going to get with a true freshman starter at any position, let alone quarterback, which is the most challenging position with everything you got to deal with. And that's why it's so rare, okay, especially at the quarterback position. Like I said, Dylan, for example, might be a top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten Conference when this year's all said and done. He might be bottom 3, okay? Maybe he's the first ever true freshman to potentially be in that serious Heisman Trophy conversation, or maybe not, all right? I remember watching Oklahoma play Arizona in the bowl game, in the Alamo Bowl. And it was beyond obvious. Oklahoma was the better team. They were faster. They were stronger. They were more physical. They were outplaying a good Arizona team. They have a quarterback there, Jackson Arnold, who had to start that game because Dylan Gabriel had transferred to Oregon. First start ever. This dude has All-American written all over him, future All-SEC quarterback. He might win the Heisman Trophy. This dude's a stud. He cost them that game. He had 5 turnovers. Every time Oklahoma was about to pull away, it was an interception. It was a fumble. And I'm not blaming him. He's a true freshman. You don't know what you're going to get. I don't put it on him at all. Okay? I actually blame the transfer portal being open before bowl games, but that's a conversation for another day. Had a quarterback just started that game that just didn't turn the ball over, Oklahoma wins. Now, this is a dude who may be a first-round pick one day, but he struggled as a true freshman in his first start ever versus Arizona. Now, one final thought. We may, in my opinion, think about getting a transfer portal quarterback. One, it'd be nice to have a quarterback in that room with a little bit more experience. We don't even have a quarterback with a full season's worth of starting experience or played an amount of games that accumulate to a full season just yet. It'd be nice to have some veteran leadership. This may be kind of tough to find, a guy who's willing to walk into a situation like this, knowing that Dylan's the guy right there in waiting, or Daniel, or Heinrich as well. Okay, so probably a senior who's looking for a 1-year gig. Okay, and it may be tough to find, but after spring ball, there will be some more options in that transfer portal after more guys hit the portal after spring ball. Right now, we have 2 true freshmen and a guy who's been talked about moving positions multiple times throughout his career in that quarterback room as our quarterback options. Another thing, depth. Think about this. Haarberg was hurt at times last year. Jeff Sims was hurt at times last year. Chubba Purdy was hurt at times. He actually hurt his growing. Okay, but Chubba only played due to injuries and poor performance by other quarterbacks. What if a couple of these guys aren't ready to play just yet? What if there's some injuries or a combination of the both? There's only 3 guys in that quarterback room. It'd be nice to have one more guy just as a safety net for competition, for veteran leadership, just a little bit more depth for all those reasons, the like and above. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in being a sponsor of the Carriker Chronicles, I am finding sponsors right here, right now. It's that time of the year heading into the football season that you start to build. Go to carrikerchronicles.com and find the About section where you can, or the Contact Me section, one of those two, and send me an email, and I will respond. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 3 questions, 4 actually today. 4, all yes or no's, real simple. Will Dylan Raiola be the starting quarterback game 1 of next season? Number 2, yes or no, has Daniel Kaelin already been overlooked? Number 3, again, yes or no, if Heinrich Haarberg doesn't start a quarterback, should he be used like a Swiss Army knife like the New Orleans Saints used Taysom Hill? And last question, yes or no, should Nebraska look for a veteran senior transfer portal quarterback at some point? Go Big Red Nose, remember to throw the bug.